Welcome to Deep Thought, Class and Behavior. You know, that's one of the things that fascinate me. Anybody who's followed me a long time know I'm fascinated by subcultures, studying them. To the point, sometimes I actually think about going to get a PhD in sociology and maybe do a dissertation on a subculture, even study one. You know, may immerse myself in one or something, write a book. Yeah, I might do that just to do it, get a PhD. Wouldn't that be hype? Be up there, y'all be watching my car videos talking about Dr. Rom. Actually, technically, you can call me that now, but that's another story. Yeah, big another story. Somebody who's real nosy about my background will know what I'm talking about. But anyway, class and behaviors. You know, it's interesting because recently, for some circumstance I can't get into, I've had to spend a little bit extra time in some poor neighborhoods. And as I've said before, don't think this is the only thing I do. Still independent, but yeah, I had to explain a lot of shit. But anyway, and it's just interesting just observing people and their behavior, and then compare that or match that to their socioeconomic class. And it's a big difference. People don't realize it because here's the issue. In the society we live in, our behavior is very much influenced by money. Now, I know some people know on my relationship channels, I'll say, hey, you know, I might especially say women aren't moved solely by money or something, but this is something different. Your behavior is affected by money. For example, if you're in a poor neighborhood, you might have like a decent apartment. That apartment might not have a washer and dryer. So what you're limited to, you know, you develop a routine around going to the going to a wash and fold or something, to a laundromat. That's going to limit stuff. Your amount of money, behavioral wise, is going to limit where you go. It's going to limit maybe your opportunities. Going to limit what type of phone you get. Like it's going to affect your life. It's going to affect your behavior. You know, you might not be able to do some things because, well, you just don't have the money. And see, that seeps down because then you start to limit yourself. You start to limit yourself. You know, you ain't, you know, people talking Ruth Chris. You ain't thinking about Ruth Chris. Shoot, you might have to save up money to go to Red Lobster. But contrast that with somebody of a higher class. Like, say, the person who, you know, if they get to $30,000 a year, and that's just gross, shoot, they might be like, yeah, I'm doing something. I'm moving up in the world. But whereas the other person, shoot, they had $130,000 a year. They thinking something different. Their behavior is different. You know, they don't have to go to the laundromat. Shoot, they go down to their high-end basement to their high-end washer and dryer. They have a different home. They got space. They don't have to be on guard behavior-wise. Like one thing I've picked up, and some other people might have picked it up, there's a big difference in the energy of someone who might be in a poor neighborhood and someone who isn't. Like women, there's a man looking at women. The women in maybe poor neighborhoods have a hardness to them, and they have to because they dealing with a different type of personality. They dealing with men. First of all, they dealing with men who are more aggressive, so they might have to be a bit more defensive. Now, you contrast that with maybe a woman from an upper middle class background. She's more carefree. She is more, and if anybody who's pay attention, who's traveled between the different worlds, you can see that. And it's deep. I mean, in this culture anyway, we don't have an official caste system. An official one, yeah, we talk about class and everything, and especially if we're talking about the American part of Western culture, you know, we have the whole Horatio Alger thing where, somebody can come from a poor background, go to the other one. That kind of moves the society. In reality, though, that doesn't happen, because in each class they develop a certain set of behaviors. The poor have one, the working class have one, the lower end professional class, maybe the managers or something, they have something. It's the upper class have something. It's the difference between going to Nordstrom's or you walking through a Nordstrom's, or you walking through a Walmart. In fact, let me use another example. There was a Versace store in the D.C. area in Chevy Chase, Maryland. Now, anybody who knows that area is a ritzy area. Now, I haven't been there in a long time, and since the cost of living in D.C. has gone up, so it's probably $1 million area now. When I was last there, it was close enough if it wasn't. Now, there was a Versace store. People would barely go in that store. They might be good to get 5 customers a day. But then when the people came in, they would spend several thousand. Like spending $10,000 wouldn't have been nothing for that store for one person. Nothing. But contrast that, the energy and the behavior of somebody who can even think on those terms with someone who has to try to catch a sale at Walmart, if they even have sales. I'm not even sure. Thankfully, I don't have to go through Walmart for anything unless it's just something actually, I don't have to go for anything. Anyway, it's a big difference. It's a big difference how they're going to walk, because the thing with money and class, it gives you a certain amount of freedom. It's easier to think about things and focus on things if you don't have to worry about your lights getting turned off. If you don't have to worry about if your car breaks down, getting it fixed. Somebody who's making a lot, like 6 figures to 130,000, their car break down. At best, they inconvenienced. And the inconvenience just comes getting into the car place, because they probably have another car. If they're not married, they live in, they single or something. If it's something major, they can always get a rent-a-car or something easily. But contrast that, or if they're in an accident, that $500 deductible is nothing. So they're a little bit more at ease about life, a little bit looser. They're not stressing. And stress, and the major cause of disease is stress. People's, at the end of the day, if you stressed out, that starts putting a strain on your system. A lot of people, if they can be relaxed, would be a lot better off. So, but you're not stressed. So you're not worried about money. But contrast that with the person making only $30,000, and that's gross. So that drops down to about 23 after taxes. If FICA and them get their cut, that car breakdown, they might be in trouble. They might or might not have $500 to get it fixed, or if it's an accident, or just anything to get it fixed. Shit. So they might be stressed, especially if they needed that car to go to that job, which is likely a wage job. Trust me, it's going to affect their behavior. It's going to affect even how you look. Like I said, if you look at some of the lower class, there's a defensive look to them. It's a hardness. Because, they stressed out. And it's an interesting thing, because I started talking about a caste system in this culture. But it's not an official one, but it's kind of like an invisible one. Because, when people mate, they tend to mate within their culture, within their social class, within their caste, even without anybody saying it. It's very hard for people to move it. A lot of men in this space might use the term hypergamy, but the actual meaning is a woman moving up in her social class. Usually a woman has to be extremely attractive for that, and even then she might go up so far, because usually the men at a higher level usually prefer to marry women at that level. You really not going to see. You might see that if it's a pro athlete, or maybe some type of entertainer that came from that same poor environment, and they're just used to that type of woman. But mostly the women won't move up. They won't move up because usually a man at that level has already been bred to deal with a woman at that level. In fact, anybody, regardless of the race, usually people of upper classes, they will put their children in a position to meet other people, other potential mates of that same social class. So just want to clear that part up, the hypergamy part. But it's a fascinating topic, something to think about, and something I always consider. So anyway, that's all I got for now. Keep rising and transforming. Peace.